Happy Tuesday, everyone, from Houston, Texas. Welcome to Stellar Parenting. I'm your host, Brandi. I'm an intuitive astrologer, and I also hold a Master of Science degree in psychology with an emphasis in child and adolescent development. If you're interested in working with me, please visit my website at brandicon.com. So for today, we've got two important transits that I'm going to be telling you about so that you're able to prepare yourself energetically and set your intentions for the week. On Wednesday, November 5th, we will have a super full moon in the sign of Taurus at 13 degrees. Now, this super full moon is going to bring attention to money, resources, and personal security. And if you've been watching the news, you already know this is true. Many people are not receiving their paychecks, and many more are not sure where their next meal is going to come from. So, this is a culmination point. And under this full moon, the focus will be on what we own, what we earn, what we value, and how we are able to sustain ourselves physically and emotionally. And this is going to feel amplified because it is a super full moon. And those of you with planets or angles around 13 degrees of Taurus, Scorpio, Leo, and Aquarius, you guys are up to bat. Okay. Now, this moon, this full moon, can reveal where we've been overextending ourselves financially or emotionally investing in situations that don't give back to us equally. And for others, it might be that this full moon really marks a breakthrough moment of financial or personal stability. It could be the harvest after months of disciplined effort. Now, because this lunation is going to oppose the sun in the sign of Scorpio, we are being reminded that true security isn't just material, it's also emotional and energetic. Scorpio digs deep beneath the surface to expose the fears and attachments that keep us clinging to what is familiar, while Taurus seeks peace and contentment in what is simple and steady. So the balance here, the balance in this situation is going to really lie in honoring both sides. So we need to trust the flow of transformation while also anchoring ourselves in the present moment. Now, there are some themes that you might notice with this full moon in Taurus, okay? And those themes might be around money, budgeting, and long term investments. Those may be taking center stage, not only in our personal lives, but in the collective. Also, banking, markets, and investments may be right up front. Okay. And we may also see themes emerging around food, nourishment, and ensuring that everyone's basic needs are met. Also, there could be references to nature, spending time in nature, or taking care of Mother Earth. There may also be questions around financial independence or shared resources and an increased awareness of how your self worth influences income and your choices. Now, the best ways to work with the energy of this full moon. I want you to review your finances with calm clarity, okay? So set intentions for sustainable abundance. Also, ground yourselves in your bodies, okay? And that can be through spending time in nature, through making sure that you're eating nutritious food and moving and exercising your body. And let's release scarcity thinking. Gratitude practices are especially potent right now under the full moon. And it's a great time to simplify and declutter your physical and emotional space so that you feel lighter. For those of you who are parents, your children may really crave comfort and consistency under the energy of this full moon. So, creating soothing routines such as a favorite meal, having cozy time together, or just doing something sensory like baking or crafting, that might really speak to your children on a deep level. If you have teenagers, your teenager may be expressing concerns about money or their future. And this is a really good time to model calm and practical decision making. And it's a great time to teach that true wealth begins with self worth. This is a lesson that this full moon will be amplifying beautifully for all of us. And finally, on Friday, November 7th, Venus will be at the first degree of Scorpio, squaring Pluto at the first degree of Aquarius. So when Venus in Scorpio is forming a square to Pluto in Aquarius, it's almost like the heart goes through an alchemical process, okay? And I just want to warn you, okay? This is not light or easy energy, all right? This is intense and it's deeply revealing. So it brings to the surface things that may be hidden in our relationships, in our finances, and also in matters of self worth. So, those of you with planets or angles around the first degree of Scorpio, Aquarius, Leo, and Taurus, you guys are going to feel this the most. Now, at its highest expression, at the absolute highest potential of this transit, you can experience a really profound emotional awakening and you can have a transformative experience of love that shifts your consciousness and really deepens the sense of intimacy that you feel in your relationships. But, however, the shadow side involves control and manipulation and a fear of loss. You may become hyper aware of changes that are taking place within one of your close relationships. And these will be changes that can no longer be ignored or glossed over. Okay. Now, this energy is really asking you for emotional honesty. If something is changing, forcing it to stay the same only is going to create pressure that will eventually explode. So let me repeat that. If something is changing in your relationships, trying to force things to stay the same is only going to increase pressure that is going to eventually explode. Now, the challenge here is to surrender control and allow transformation to take place and to trust that love is going to evolve through truth and not through possession. So, some of the energetic highlights or the themes that you may notice around the time of this transit, relationships may feel more intense, they may feel more passionate, they, there may be more revelations. Okay. And you might also notice old emotional patterns of control, jealousy, or fear of rejection that surfaces. Okay. And also, you might notice more power dynamics when it comes to love, when it comes to money, or when it comes to self worth. There are some things that you can do to use this energy to your benefit. So, here's what I want you to do. Here's how I want you to use this energy. I want you to be honest with yourself and others about what you truly feel. This is the time to do so and allow change, okay? And trust that transformation creates deeper authenticity. I also want you to remember to practice emotional regulation. So make sure that you're taking a deep breath before you're reacting. I want you to respond rather than react. Here are some things I want you to avoid during this transit. Don't try to control or manipulate someone out of a fear of losing them, okay? That's going to backfire. And let's avoid guilt tripping or giving people emotional ultimatums, okay? Because all that's going to do is just erode trust in your relationship. And let's avoid financial power plays or overspending to soothe a sense of insecurity. And please remember not to confuse passion with possession, okay? True love honors freedom. For those of you who are parents, your children and teens may really feel extra sensitive under this energy. They may be reactive and they might feel overly possessive, not only of their things, of their toys, their belongings, but also in their friendships or in relationships and in sibling relationships. So we want to encourage healthy emotional expression instead of suppression or blame. Now, if you have younger children, here's what you can do. You can offer reassurance and structure, as this transit can really bring up and stir up a sense of insecurity. And also teach that love does not mean control. Love is not equal to control. It's all about trust and respect. And it's a great time for heart centered conversations about how to navigate emotions without letting them dominate our behavior. So that wraps up our transits for this week. I want you to set your intentions for how you're going to use this energy to create something amazing. Okay. And as I like to remind you every week, the stars may guide us, but we ultimately hold the power to shape our own destiny. So keep shining your light bright, and I'll see you here again next week.